Hello everyone, thank you for joining me here on another episode of Vegan Police TV. This episode is going to be a bit more of a discussion from my part on my thoughts of sort of comments that were inspired by a recent video that was put out by Aizul Masad or Basli Ciel. My apologies if I pronounced that wrong, where he's talking about politics and veganism and vegans and all that sort of stuff. So, without further ado, let's get on with it. Now, to a bit of background, I'll include a link to Aizul's YouTube clip down in the description. Now, he goes on to talk about that with all the vegans in Thailand, that there would be some sort of political comments or commentary or something like that relating to the recent vote for I think it was a constitutional vote or something like that. And he turns around and says that there was no response from the vegans. Now, I'd also like to sort of build on that a little bit further, and happy for people to discuss it and share their thoughts. But for me, it seems that whilst so many vegans are happy to turn around and say yes, veganism is a political statement and it's a political activism and things like that, that very few vegans actually understand politics. They understand about especially in Australia, using this as an example, and I'll talk about the Animal Justice Party in a bit later on, is that so many vegans actually understand politics, understand the nature. They haven't researched it themselves. They're just more likely to follow what someone has told them rather than doing their own research. Now, case in point, before I get on to the AJP, and hopefully I'll remember it, I just want to talk about something first, is that there's so many vegans that turn around and say that they're animal rights activists and this and that, and they're all about animal rights, yet the whole political concept and even going down the rights path as either legal rights or moral rights is confusing. People don't understand it. To give an example, Derek, the Vegan Mojo, put out a video trying to explain plant-based vegan, the different terms of plant-based, of veganism, of vegan, of animal rights. Now, he turned around and said that you can be an animal rights activist and also not be vegan. Well, to a certain extent, no, you can't, because the whole concept of being an animal rights activist is that you're against the rights violation. So whether you want other animals to have legal rights or moral rights, and to give you a bit of an idea, legal rights, that is the rights for the animals as per law. Now, an example of legal rights could be the 5 freedoms that the RSPCA puts out. If that was to be transferred into legislation, then that could be the legal rights. Now, to some extent, that is covered in legislation, though not as broad as that. And the Animal Justice Party even goes down that path, is that they like to, they quote the 5 freedoms with all their materials. Now, the concept of moral rights is that you believe that other animals are, they are moral persons, moral individuals, not persons in the legal sense, as in like a corporation is a living entity under the eyes of the law and all that sort of stuff. I'm talking about that animals matter morally. So this is that they have the moral right to live their life by their own choosings and without exploitation, and to self-awareness and things like that. Now, I've got a rubbish truck coming up behind me, as you can see, so hopefully it's not going to make too much noise. So with regards to that, now talking about the whole rights-based thing, is that sorry, rubbish trucks always amaze me. It's one of those things. A bit of a side note, my son, he loves coming out to see the rubbish trucks. Being Friday here where it is now, where we have the rubbish collected, he's always out and wanting to watch the rubbish trucks. And a lot of the rubbish truck drivers are nice. I wave to him because he sits on the letterbox at the front and waves to the rubbish truck drivers, and a lot of them wave back and blow the horn and do all sorts of fun stuff like that. Digressing back to what I was talking about now, there aren't many animal activists, animal rights activists, or anything like that, and I'd be willing to say, throughout the whole world, is that actually understand that and are vocal on that. Now, there's an interesting thing on the 8th of September. The UQ Veg Society presents a free Q&A session. Now, it's called Animal Rights and Human Responsibilities. Now, what makes this interesting is that the people that are part of this is going to be Claire Fryer from PETA Australia, James Aspey, who did the 365 days vow of silence, Zaid Watson from the Animal Justice Party, and Lee Chantel from Viva La Vegan. Now, what makes this interesting is out of those four panelists, 3 of them do not have a rights-based position, and I would even go as far to say is that out of those 3, potentially a majority of them would actually be reinforcing the sexism, racism, and all that, and speciesism of the animal advocacy movement. I mean, you have a look at PETA's activisms for a start. I mean, they're all about sex sells. They're all about degrading humans. As I referenced in the previous article, whereas the senior vice president of PETA put up the fat shaming thing. We've all seen that video that PETA's put up. Sorry, not the video. There's just so much stuff about PETA where they are not an animal rights organisation. They do not understand the concept of animal rights. Yes, they like to label themselves that because that's what the media does to draw attention to them, and PETA believe, as do most other organisations, that any publicity is good publicity. So for them to be classed in this when they breach human responsibilities on so many parts, they breach animal rights on so many parts, and all that sort of stuff. So for them to be involved in this is totally confusing. Now, I'm not saying anything against the organisers because the organisers of it probably didn't know any better themselves. What is concerning is that PETA Australia's turned around and said, yes, we'll be involved in it. Now, they are aware of whether they are a rights-based organisation or they're not. They should have said no. The Animal Justice Party, now they are not a rights-based organisation. They are a, a regulationist organisation where they want to have the use of other animals further enshrined in legislation. Now, they do not advocate a vegan baseline. They promote plant-based diet. There's just so many things that where they're wrong. They're not a rights-based organisation. I mean, have a look at the recent fiasco with the federal politicians. The federal election, there were, I think, 3 candidates disendorsed for saying comments that were not socially acceptable to the organisation. So instead of the organisation turning around and saying, hey, yes, we are a one-platform party, they've turned around and disendorsed these people because it's not in line with that. Well, and this is the thing. There's just so much going on there that the Animal Justice Party, they deceive the members, they deceive the public any chance that they can get. Federal election, there is no way known that any of the stuff that they talked about in the federal election that they could have done. The Office of Animal Welfare, that will be under the federal sphere. So how can they control, due to the separation of powers and the Constitution, how can they control something that the states have? They can't, unless the states are willing to hand over authority to the Commonwealth, which they can under the Constitution, and has happened in workplace laws and heavy vehicle licensing and registration. They're not going to hand over their responsibilities for animal use and management. So for the Animal Justice Party to say, hey, we bring in an independent office of animal welfare, we'll be able to stop this. We'll be able to stop greyhound racing by a federal politician, whether it's a senator or not. That is just so much of a BS. Now, I did publish on the Vegan Police blog an open letter to the Animal Justice Party candidates. Now, that was read a lot. None of those questions were responded to, either publicly or privately to me. And this is the deception. So the Animal Justice Party is not an animal rights organisation. They are not an animal rights political party. They, I know that, they like to turn around and say that they are. And this is the other thing too, is that during the initial discussions, commentary and all that, I think the previous election when Mark Pearson was running for a Senate as a Senate seat, him and Steve Garlick there was a bit of a discussion. I think it was a YouTube clip with Katrina Fox. Pardon me. I've been trying to find it, so it's not, I don't know, they've taken it off YouTube or something like that. The discussion was about inspiration for the party. Now, their inspiration for the party is based on the book Animal Liberation by Peter Singer. Now, that is not a rights-based book. That is a book, a utilitarian book, because Peter Singer's utilitarian, where basically the concept of that is the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Now, that sounds a bit Star Trek-y and all that sort of stuff, because that's the way, is that if you have a look at it, if we can, use these 15 animals and it feeds 30 people or whatever, then, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And what Singer wanted to do in that book was to get people to be more, mindful or aware of the way that other animals are treated. So that's not a right-based position, despite what everyone says with everyone saying it's, he's the father of the animal rights movement and everything like that. He's not. And even the title of the book is misleading. And then so is the organisations in Australia that are based on that book that have a similar name. So this is the thing, going back to it, is that people don't have a full understanding of politics. They don't have a full understanding of whether it's the political structure and it's the process and everything like that. So for Aizel Mazard to turn around and say, well, why didn't they question it? Well, they didn't question it. They didn't say anything about it because they don't know anything about it. They're not willing to know anything about it. I remember, where was it? Sometime last year, because, I've been an outspoken opponent of the Animal Justice Party because, I'll admit that I don't believe in the political party structure for a number of reasons, and that's a completely different discussion, but more because of their misleading nature and the way that they mislead the people and the members about what they can do and what they stand for. So did have discussions about something, I can't remember, what was it? About who controls the organisation, and one of the Queensland, actually I think it was Zaid himself, turned around and in a smarmy attitude turns around and says that I need to have a discussion with him to get a better understanding of politics and the way the political process works and things like that. Well, this is what I've been doing for the last 15 years, is learning about politics, studying politics. Have a look at a number of my blog posts over the years. They've all been political in nature. They have all been, of about politics. And yes, my intention was prior to, I think it was the 2013 election, was to stand to run as a Senate candidate as an independent. Did make that decision not to do that because there was more of it wasn't sort of, no, actually it wasn't that one. It was one before then. So yeah, it was more that there was too much sort of not sentiment of awareness of what was going on politics-wise, but more of that, hey, they want to vote for a political party because they've fed up with the way that the Labor Party did in Australia and the way that the couple of independents got into bed with the Labor Party as well. So that the research that I did and all that sort of stuff, it wasn't a good time to be an independent candidate in that because they were all lumped into the same bag. So since that time, I've made the decision not to run again. I mean, I might in about another 9 years when there's another to give me a grand time to get up to it. But the thing with politics, it's a long-term game. So if you want to get into a seat, you need to start running. You can't just nominate yourself beforehand and say, hey, yes, we're going to run under this banner. So that's going a bit of a long waffle with that one. So this is the thing. Vegans don't know about politics. They don't understand politics. All they want to do is believe the socialist rhetoric, propaganda, or whatever it is that they've put out now. Will it change? I don't think so, because politics in general bores people, and there's so many vegans that aren't interested in that because they think, hey, yeah, we'll turn up to this protest, we'll carry this banner, or we'll give our responsibility to someone else, like they've done with the Animal Justice Party and Green senators and things like that, is that rather than looking at things themselves and questioning, they've just said, no, we'll pass it on to that person, which by that token, they're just as responsible for the way things are going as, with regards to an understanding of politics with regards to that. So, as I was saying, this is a bit of a long waffle. Vegans don't want to understand politics. They don't want to know politics. They're either just so caught up in their little leftist way of thinking and things like that they don't want to look at anything else, because that will challenge their accepted paradigm. You have a look at most vegans. They're either a dyed-in-the-wool AJP supporter or the dyed-in-the-wool Green supporter. There's very few that would openly endorse or promote independent candidates, or even the coalition Liberal National Party. And that's the thing that's I believe is going to be detrimental to the movement itself, because you can't align with the left. You need to be aware of what's going on. The left isn't going to save us. Despite what all these people say, the left side of politics isn't going to save us. I honestly believe that you'll get more movement coming from the right, but that's for a completely different political discussion. So anyway, to wrap this one up, people don't understand rights. They don't understand politics. They don't understand that. They're just happy to see something. Someone says, oh, yes, got to support this, or got to support that. I'm an animal rights activist because I'm vegan. Well, no, that's not the case. So anyway, going to have a longer discussion about this in another episode. If there's more that you want to know, please add a comment down below, either on the discussion here or even on my Tumblr account, where you can do it anonymously. That is tumblr.veganpolice.com.au, or even on the comments section that you will find on the Vegan Police website, which is veganpolice.tv. So wrapping it up. So anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up, thumbs down, share. I do suggest that you subscribe to it. If you're watching this on the Vegan Police TV website, hopefully on the right hand side, when you're looking at the screen, there'll be a little box that says subscribe to the newsletter now. That will be a daily newsletter that goes out I think first thing in the morning, or I haven't decided yet, where you can subscribe to and get an update, because there's going to be a couple of videos that come out a day now, so that will give you a chance to do that. So anyway, thank you for watching. My name's Cameron Blewett, and this was Vegan Police TV. Bye for now.